we're just going to be talking about business development. And business development is really fun. This is just going to be like a 10, 20,000 foot overview of some of these concepts. And so the book that Shane talked about was E-Myth Revisited. Show of hands, how many of you guys have looked at this book? It absolutely life-changing, but the E-Myth is actually why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I want my small business to work and not stay small, right? So the entrepreneurial myth, we're just going to go through. I'm going to share with you an overview of the book. You guys listen to it, read it, dig into it. It is so powerful. But and then I'm going to share with you how we can apply some of this in Primerica. Okay, how this applies. So hang with me. We're going to go through some amazing slides, and then we'll have some time at the end to get some feedback from the coaches and kind of how you guys have implemented this in your business and how you've seen it show up in the different seasons. Okay, so the first thing is the entrepreneurial myth. Okay, it's a myth that small businesses are started by true blue entrepreneurs. How many of you guys have seen people go into business and they say, oh, I've been a plumber, I'm gonna start my own plumbing business, right? And there's a lot of people that like the dream of entrepreneurship, and so they go into business for themselves. But most of the time, businesses are actually started by people who are initially working for other people, okay, carpenters, designers, plumbers, and they're good at what they do. So they decide to go into business and they say, you know what? I'm tired of this override thing. I'm very, very good at plumbing. So I'm going to go into my own plumbing business so that I don't have to share the profit with my boss, because what does he know? I'm the one that's doing all the work. But they make the fatal assumption that their strong technical skills are enough for them to run a technical business. Okay? And this is the entrepreneurial myth. Okay? So what is that technical person? Okay? So I know that in Primerica world, we've got the star personalities, right? The systems, the technical, the action-oriented, and the relational, right? We've got the star, if you guys use the colorful personalities. So right now, I want you to take that and park it on the shelf. We are not talking about what motivates you, but we're talking about your skill sets and what you actually do, okay? So the first thing is the technician. That's not the same thing as the technical personality, okay? This is the technician. This is the doer in the business. This is the plumber. This is the carpenter. This is, the designer, right? But they're the ones that do the technical work of the business, and they live in the present. They like, to be immersed in their work, in the nuts and bolts, right? And they're not very interested in the grand vision, in the systems behind it. They're just really good at getting the job done, okay? And they execute, and they are good at it. I mean, like ninjas, right? They're amazing at being able to do the work of the business. So, for example, in the Primerica world, we help families, right? On the financial side, right? And it's very fun to get really, really good at helping families, put together their plan, or be able to help them improve their investments. And there's the technical side of the business, and there's no way to get around that, right? But in this book, he talks about the different personalities and they actually have different priorities and goals. So the technician is all about today, like get it done, get it done, get it done. What needs to be done today? Okay, check it off. We're gonna close that up. So they have different priorities and goals. And then in most businesses, you also have the entrepreneur, which is actually different than the technician. The entrepreneur is the visionary, the dreamer, the innovator, and they live in the future. They're always thinking big picture. Where are we going? How are we going to get there, right? And they love being in control, but they're also addicted to change. And they're ideal for being able to drive the business, put out that big vision. And the entrepreneur is like that CEO that says, this is where we're going, this is what we need to do to get there. And then they're just, helping everyone get to that big vision. And then we've got the person that's stuck in the middle of these two people, right? When you guys agree that like the person in the trenches and sometimes the C-suite executives in corporate are on two different planets. And then you have to have someone in the middle to help them communicate, right? So in business, then we have the managers, okay? The managers help get the entrepreneur's vision and get the technical people to run with it, okay? And the entrepreneur creates chaos with all of their innovation, change, and and really wanting to, take this to the next level and be there yesterday. And the manager's like, we got to clean this up. We got to put this in a system. We've got to organize it. We've got to get this message over to the technician so that they know exactly what they can do, because the technician just wants to execute on the list. And the entrepreneur keeps changing the list. And the technician says, I don't think that the upper management knows what they're doing. You know what? I'm tired of being bossed around, right? And the manager is like trying to hold it all together. And they're trying to be practical, and they're living in the past. They're cleaning it all up and putting it into a box and trying to, maintain the status quo. And they help the business have stability, okay? And keep things running, keep people running, right? And wouldn't you guys agree that all three of these people are necessary in a big business, right? But they have different priorities, they have different goals, they have different strengths, but they're all necessary in order for the vision of the company to come to pass. So a lot of times the technician is just like, you know what, I don't need those other two. I'm going to be in charge, right? And the manager's like, no, I'm in charge. And the CEO says, no, don't you guys know I'm in charge? Then we go into business for ourselves, right? And we have these three different personalities, and everyone that goes into business, actually, you have all three of these people inside of here at all times, and we are actually all three, and all of them want to be the boss, and all of them want to fire all the other bosses. And it's like, when I read this chapter, I literally was like, oh, that's what's been going on. I felt so conflicted. I was like, which one am I? And it's like, no, you're all three. And in order for your business to thrive, you have to let each of these personalities inside of you have room to shine. You need to have time where you're dreaming about the future. You need to have time where you are cleaning up the mess and getting it in order. But you also need to have time where you're getting out there and getting it done, and just execute on the system, like Aaron talked about last week. Just execute it, just get it done. And so one of the things that has just been really powerful for me is being able to realize, like, oh, we are actually all three. And it's powerful when you can let all three of those different sides of you shine. And so a well-balanced business owner because, in Primerica, we have the opportunity to actually, bring our full self, not just be in the little box that someone else gave to us, right? But we get to bring our full self to the table. We get to be the entrepreneur that has the ideas, right? We get to be the manager that brings order. And we also just get to get in there and do the work, right? And we get to be all of those things and build a business, a company within a company, and be and be well-rounded. Okay. So there's 3 stages of growth in the business that he talks about. The first one is the infancy stage of the business. And that is where you see most business owners or small businesses, they were really good at the technical side of things. And they come in and they were good at one thing, but now they have 10 jobs. Now they're also the accountant. They're also the HR. They're also marketing, sales, and operations, and management, and finance, and now they have 10 jobs, but they're only good at one of them, right? But what's powerful about what we get to do is you can learn it a little bit at a time, right? But in the infancy stage of the business, you're doing it all yourself, and you might be burning the candle at both ends, right? But then your business gets to a place where you're like, you know what? I got so much going on. I need some help. And you get into the adolescence phase of the business. But what most people do is they are like so happy to have help that they delegate without looking. Okay. He calls it delegation through abdication, which is like, I don't know how to do this. Could you do this? And then I don't know, find some virtual assistant, or maybe, someone on your team, or you bring staff in part-time and you say, here you go, you guys take care of it. I don't even know how to do that thing in the business. You do it. And then when they don't do it right, it comes back and it bites you in the butt, right? Because you delegated something that you didn't understand and you didn't check. And so this is where a lot of small businesses, they're like, you know what? It's just too busy and it's too hard to find people to help. So I'm just going to bring my business back down to what I can handle on my own. Okay. And this is where I see, a lot of people, even in the Primerica space, of like, what can I handle on my own, trying to get help, and then just being like, yeah, I don't know if I can do that. So, then you shrink your business back down to what you can handle. But there's another way, right? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. He talks about the mature business is where the business owner asks, what does the business need? Not what do I want to do? What am I willing to do? But what does the business need? And they have a business that's scaling, that's excellent, that, like IBM or Dell Computers, or, you've got McDonald's, right? They have a system, it's scaling, and it's not personality driven. They have that system in place to give the business what it needs so that it can grow well beyond what you can handle yourself. And the thing that I thought was just powerful about, how, the author talked about this phase is that mature businesses that are able to get over that hump, it's not that they grew up into it. It's that mature businesses start as a mature business, and because they start with the end in mind and work backwards. Okay. And so by starting with the question of what does the business need, like, hey, let's go do it. Okay. So in the book, it says that companies that reach maturity have a clear vision of what the company is going to be like when it's done. And they start behaving like a great company from the very beginning. So the key is to start your business with the expectation and the plan for it to grow, to work without you. And you also need a business model that will allow you to balance all 3 of the personalities. So the entrepreneur can drive the business, the manager can ensure that it's sustainable, and the technician can stay in touch with the nuts and bolts of the work being done. And what's powerful is that we don't have to do all 10 roles of business, right? The home office takes care of so much of the heavy lifting, and that we just get to do the fun things, right? And so let's look at the turnkey revolution. He talks about, the best way to ensure that your business is successful and is not dependent on you is to turnkey your business. Okay. Shane talks about this all the time. It's been so powerful. But it's to have that business format franchise type model, right? And where the franchisee is not just given the right to market a known product, but also the entire system of doing business. And when you have a model, when you're able to connect the dots, just like, Aaron was talking about, out at the West Coast Convention, that slide, this is what it's talking about. It's like you have to have a system that connects the dots. And when you can connect those dots for your people, it totally decreases the failure rate and lets you be able to plug people into your system for them to have success. And what's amazing is that Primerica gives us so much of the system. And Coach Tellis, a couple of weeks ago, he was able to share with us some of that. So Primerica gives us the best of both worlds. They give us this amazing infrastructure support. They take care of licensing and compliance and all the product research. And we didn't have to figure out how to write, a life insurance product. We just have to fill out an application, right? Fill in the blank. What's your name? What's your birthday? What's your social? And the client can basically figure it out themselves, right? Share the screen, let them type. So we didn't have to come up with the product. We didn't have to be an actuary. We didn't have to raise the money, right? We just get to fill out the application, and we have the flexibility to be able to do this and have flexibility and freedom and be able to build this with absolutely no limits. The only limits here are the ones in our own mind. So we give people a chance to be able to dream again. There's a lot of people that have tried going into business for themselves, but they get burned out because they think they're going to just grow into it. And when they hit all the challenges of traditional business ownership, and they don't have the support system of Primerica, they don't have a Saturday morning to plug into, they don't have those things, it's really easy for them to get very discouraged. And so, you may have like serial entrepreneurs in your life that don't know that Primerica offers a better way. I was talking with, a gentleman on our team, Giroux, and he recently sat down with someone that, I'm going to butcher this, but basically the guy helps people find franchises. And it's like, if you knew what this did, it showed him a little bit. It's like, really? People can come in here for $124 and you pay for the licensing, you have the systems, you have the products, you have like all of this, and you just have to like implement it. And they give you the flexibility to do it how you want to do it. They aren't going to just stick you in a little box like a traditional franchise. I mean, you get the best of both worlds here. So we really give people a chance to be able to dream again. But there's the 7 steps of business development that you've got to go through. Okay. Some of this is going to be review, but it really ties together some of the threads, right? That we've been talking about on Saturday mornings. But in a nutshell, the 7 parts of the process of developing a business that can scale from the get-go is, first, you have to determine your primary aim. Not what do you want the business to do, but what do you want the business, like, what do you want your life to look like? What lifestyle do you want? What do you want to do for your family? What is it that, your dream is, so that you don't just get sucked into just doing the day-to-day. And then go over your, strategic objective. What do you want your business to look like when it's done? And how is that going to help you get what you want in your life? Um, I think that, when Aaron talks about starting with the why, like those first two things is pretty much everything, right? So many times in life, we get to work in the day to day, but we forget why we're even working on it. And so I love when, Bill Arender, he's talking about, every morning, drawing out the circles. What do you want your organization to look like? It's powerful. The third thing is developing your organizational strategy so you can start testing, documenting, and building out the roles so that you can be able to move towards having that ideal future organization. Is going through each of those roles and saying, okay, this is what we're doing. It's like you're almost in experiment mode as you're working your way to RVP and you're working out the nuts and the bolts, and filling that out with additional people to help you get there. And then you'll have your management strategy so that you can have a predictable experience that you can replicate through anyone that you hire. Art Williams said, the biggest difference, right, is having that personal management philosophy. You've really got to be able to develop that for yourself. And I love that we get to, chart our own course within this amazing structure. And then identify your people strategy. Like Aaron talked about last week, of having a leadership development process, and then having a marketing strategy. How are you going to get these pieces out to the world? How are we going to understand our customers, their needs, and then how are we going to meet them? And then having a system strategy. So, how are you going to be tracking your business? What are you going to be saying? And what's powerful is your leaders, like all of the coaches here on the call, they've paved the way for us to be able to run. We don't have to start from scratch. We get to, their shoulders are and ceiling are our floor. We get to keep building, and then we grow, and then we're pulling them up, and and we're just being able to help each other go to that next level, that we don't have to start from scratch. And that is so stinking powerful. Okay. So what does that look like? I know I've gone like a million miles an hour. I'm just going to share a couple other ideas with you. This is just like a start of a conversation of e-mything our business to success. But how do we take our business to the next level? I want to encourage you guys, get out your pens, really, really take notes on this next section. Okay. You have to start with the end in mind. If you haven't sat down and thought about what you want out of life, not just out of Primerica, but out of life, if you haven't made that life plan, like, Brad Gerard talks about, like, what do you want to do, right? I would really encourage each of you to take some time this week and think about what you want out of life, and then what do you want your business to look like? There's several different successful ways of being able to build in Primerica. If you want a small business, you can have a small business. If you want a medium-sized business, you can have a medium-sized business. If you want a giant hierarchy, you can have a giant hierarchy, right? Art Williams wanted to give us the ability to build a company within a company. And, do you guys realize that there are hierarchies that are bigger than some insurance companies? And it's powerful that your vision is you can build it as big as you would like. And then you can work it like a job until it pays you like a business. So, you've got to get in the trenches of all three of those roles, but it's possible. So what does the technician look like here in Primerica? The first thing is you got to master your craft so that you can help families, through the high ticket sales and excellent customer service. So I'm going to unpack a couple of these things. I think for me, when I first got started, I didn't know anything about finance. I wanted to know things about finance, but being able to bridge the gap on the identity piece of I am a financial professional was a little bit harder for me. I went to school for, well, not just school, but I prepared for 10 years to be a pastor, and being able to make the transition from like a helping profession where it just seemed like, at least in our little churches, that building financial freedom, like that was like oil and water. And so, it took a while to be able to help make that transition, and going in and being able to master the craft piece of it, being able to learn about financial planning, be able to learn about investments, be able to help families and, get good at putting the F&As together and the portfolios together, has really helped, like, grow my confidence. Also, being able to, on a regular basis, be able to plug in, to things like MPI, or be able to plug in and, learn from different people, and getting in the trenches, bringing back the statements, bringing back the policies, and working with Wayne and the team to bring back amazing proposals has been huge. The second thing is I really had to like have a shift when it comes to, is this sales? I just wanted to help people, and one of the things that was very helpful for me is learning the difference between low ticket and high ticket sales. I was always kind of like opposed to sales. It's like, and Wayne, he would share with us, and he's like, what this type of sales is like, it's like a doctor, it's like a lawyer, right? Where that's not pushy, it's just, hey, where are we at? Where do you want help? And being able to help people make an informed decision to get there. And that has been super powerful. And like, I know each of these things could be like 2 hours, 2 days. But here's your 10,000, 20,000 foot overview. And then, just being committed to excellent customer service. When we make commitments to our clients to help them reach financial independence and be with them every single step of the way, that's a big commitment. And we want to be able to follow through on those promises. And so on the technical side of your business, on what we're doing to help families, you want to make sure that you're following through on those promises. And if you're going to build it big, if you're going to build it fast, you have to be thinking from the get-go that it's not just going to be what you personally can handle, but it's creating a vision and infrastructure of what your business can deliver for them. If you are, thinking small about just what you personally can do, you will hit a limit. You will hit a lid. Primerica is not limiting you, but there's a limit to what one person can do. But we can break that 24-hour barrier by growing that distribution, right? And that brings us to the entrepreneur. Okay, we've got to be able to think bigger, to plan for the future, and establish a culture that says what can we provide for the community? What can we provide for our clients, right? How can I develop people to help reach more than what I can do myself? How do I grow marketing? How do I grow my reach? How do I grow distribution so that the cause can get across the line? The entrepreneur in each of us, I mean, you guys are on this call because of this person in you. So don't get bogged down by the day-to-day that you never, get back in touch with the entrepreneur in you that made you sign that IBA. Because guys, we can build this bigger than we think. We can help more people than we think. We can build a bigger team than we think. But it's because we have to have a vision and a purpose of helping more people than what you can do yourself. One of the things that absolutely blew me away was that when Art Williams started this company, he started with such a big vision to completely change an industry. And that's not something that one person can do. He wanted to take out all the whole life, right? That's not something that one person can do. And when like the entrepreneur is putting together the dream team to accomplish the goal, the plan is going to be dictated by how big is the goal, how big is the vision, what's required, what does the business need, what does the vision need. And I want you guys to think bigger on that. And I think that when you have that clear vision of where you want to take things and the impact and the difference that you want to make in the world, all of a sudden the how becomes very clear. You're like, okay, well, we're going to need to do that bigger. We're going to need to have, simplify to multiply, right? And you've also got to make sure that you make time for the manager in you. Now, each of these people want to be in charge, but we have to have time for all of them. So, we have to be able to mind the details, the follow-up, just embrace the numbers of the business, and make sure that you track your business. Use the CRM, cultivate your book, your team, be planning for the future, and keep it rolling. In my role over the last few years, I've been mostly this, minding the details, the follow-up, and it's fun when you get to do that. But one of the things that has really helped us be able to take Wayne's business and double, almost triple the revenue is that we just started tracking everything. We started taking down all the notes from the meetings and be able to say, okay, we've got this rollover coming up. We've got this person with the 401k now. When are they turning 59 and a half? Okay, let's put an event in here. Let's put a task out here to call them a month before they turn 59 and a half. And so we have, you can fill the pipeline and, what do we have coming up? Listening, like if someone says, oh yeah, I'd like to get into a house or I want to move in a couple years. Okay, well, that's another mortgage to write, right? Or, hey, I'd like to save up for my kids' college someday. I don't have kids right now. Well, where is that information so that you can cultivate it? And utilizing the CRM tools. I'm actually like really floored with what's coming down the pipe. They are absolutely going to bring a whole new level to the CRM. I got to have a really great meeting a couple weeks ago with some of the home office team that's building out the CRM and being able to hear like the long-term vision of where this is going. I'm like, we need to get serious about how do we utilize this on a whole other level, because it's going to be like the one place for all knowledge in your business and be able to put that in. So, make sure that you're putting your notes in and you're uploading your F&As into Virtual Bake Shop. You're uploading your notes, right? And then, you're putting tasks out there in the future so that you can go get that. And it really takes balancing all three of these things. But guys, you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be the solopreneur. What's powerful is that you can actually do all three here at Primerica. You can do it with your partner. You can do it with your best friend. You can be able to build out a team. You don't even have to just do it all by yourself. You could have, part-time or full-time staff to be able to help you fill in some of these gaps. And as the entrepreneur, as the CEO-minded person, when you have clarity on your vision, then you just will start to say, what's necessary to get to that vision? And where am I at? Where are my strengths? And then what do I need in order to fill that in? And I just want to encourage you guys that this is a powerful place to be able to build it as big as you want. And you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to be a solopreneur that stays in that cycle of, the infancy business and then adolescent, and then you keep going back and forth to growing your business to your own capacity and then shrinking it back to your own capacity and, finding your own limits. By implementing some of these strategies, you can scale your business like McDonald's and be able to get it to the place where you're not limited by your own capacity, but only by your vision. And when you recruit people to the vision that you're building, make sure that your vision is big enough to fit everyone else's giant vision. So, this is what we get to do. We get to build a business, but we get to build it to last and to outlast us. So I just want to open it up a couple minutes here for some of the coaches on here to be able to share how some of these concepts have been able to impact your business and be able to, have impacted how you've been able to get past your own limitations and be able to leverage all the tools and the systems that Primerica has to offer. And if you guys have any questions on some of those things, feel free. We've got a couple minutes here.
Hey, Rebecca,
that was
can you hear
amazing.
me?
Yeah, go ahead, coaches, please.
Awesome, Rebecca. Awesome.
Hey, can you hear me, guys?
Mhm.
Hey, so Rebecca, Jim and I here, and just fabulous today. And I just want to say, when I read the E-Myth and then E-Myth Revisited, watch this whole thing unfold. Being a flaming A personality, I'm just telling you, it's like I couldn't figure out why people needed all this crap. Just freaking do something. Because I grew up with Art Williams, right, Wayne? We grew up with just do it, just do it, just do it. And so as our business became more elaborate and more sustainable, it needed systems. And for some of us, that was a difficult thing. But this E-Myth absolutely put it in perspective in so many ways. So excellent work today. I can't wait to re-listen to this over and over again.
That's good. Rebecca, I'm going to piggyback real quick on your comments. Beautiful, beautiful job. Excellent job. Thank you, Coach Jim. I think there's, just like the STAR program, there's many different personalities, I believe, as we've evolved in Primerica. And it was kind of fun listening to how Rebecca put this together, and it kind of brought back the video tape in my head when we first sat down and talked about it. And I did what you did, Jim. I'm like, that's a pile of crap. I love you dearly, Rebecca, but I'm only going to work with the doers. I'm not going to sit there and babysit them and give them systems. I mean, either get off your ass or I'm moving to the next person. And I think what happened is I started to listen. And one thing we have to understand here in our business is all of us on the Zoom today have gifts. Would you agree? There's some extreme leaders here. You got motivation or people that can blow in, blow out. We got great salespeople. We got everybody you can think of. And one thing that I learned, yeah, along with listening. Now, my wife always says I don't do a good job of that. Okay, that's a man thing or something. But I'm just saying I had to sit down. I don't know what it was. She got me on a soft point, and I listened. Not from the standpoint, hey, Rebecca, what's your scoreboard look like? I don't want to sit here and listen to you just because you want to throw a bunch of technical stuff at me. I finally sat down, kind of like the E-Myth, and said, aha. I had one of those aha moments. And she says, what do you want your business to look like? And I started analyzing from A to Z. So don't copy exactly what I'm about to say because there's different personalities. I admire Jim. He's a hierarchy builder. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is Wayne, okay? I don't have a huge hierarchy, but I analyzed my business and I said, what do I really, really love about it? I said, really, I love the passion of helping a family reach total financial independence. That's what tricked my trigger back then, and correcting an injustice. That makes sense? So I'm like this technician that was running around trying to act like I was an entrepreneur. I sucked at management because if I was good at that, I'd be this tremendous hierarchy leader. Does that make sense? I lost patience with people. Again, don't copy exactly what I'm saying. That was my personality. So what was beautiful about analyzing, utilizing what we learned today about the E-Myth, is I said, what do I want it to look like? And you're going to laugh, but this is what I told her. I said, well, since we're dreaming, let's just talk about it. This is what I love. I said, I love helping the end user. I love helping families become financially independent, but I don't want to make any phone calls. I don't want to call referrals, and I don't want to follow up with any of my clients. Now, how moronic is that? I mean, I'm thinking, well, what the hell did I just say? But I really told her what I thought. She says, great. We're going to develop systems where everybody that in your base shop at that time, finally now it's on staff, do all that for you. And now I'm having a blast, Jim. I know this is my personality. Doesn't mean, right? That's what's beautiful about Primerica. There's all kinds of different people on here. There's some people that are getting jacked up about what I'm saying, and other people are like going, no, I don't want to service clients. I'd rather build a hierarchy. Thank God you're like that, right? But you got to develop what's going to jettison, and you'll attract like people. And that's what happened 5-6 years ago. Now there's a crock pot of people that are in this turnkey E-Myth system that I don't have to think anymore. I don't remember, Rebecca, you can comment here. When's the last time I made a phone call? I can't remember. I used to have that answer, Jim. Like I could say, well, hell, I just made 8 of them last week because I'm doing them all myself. I don't know, Rebecca, what is it? I don't know, 2-3 years ago, 4 years?
I don't know, but all he does is he tells us the end goal, which is how much money do you want to make, and how many, and then we ask him how long do you want to work, when do you want off, and what are you willing to do, what are you not willing to do, and then we just book his calendar accordingly. And he's like, I don't know where all these appointments came from and why I'm here from 10 in the morning until 8 at night. 4 days a week. It's really crazy. You used to work 6 days a week. Now you work 4, maybe like 3.5 really, because you don't come in Thursday mornings. So like 3.5 days, and you make almost 3 times as much money, and you never set any appointments of your own yourself.
Yeah. But we took that dream there, Aaron. We took the dream. That was my dream. Okay, and I said, this is what I love about Primerica. That's just my DNA. That's what I want to do. Is there a way we can build $1 million business around that model? And the answer is yes. Okay. And still be happy. So I wanted freedom. And now some people might look at freedom as, well, you got all these clients you have to service. Well, your base shop is just like your clients. Would you agree? You're servicing them. It's
Right.
just, that's your DNA. My DNA is clients. Okay. Does it make sense? So I just love the fact that we get to do this, Jim. You know what I mean? I thank God we have a business where all the heavy lifting is done in the home office. And I praise Jesus every day for what Art Williams did. and paving the way, because this dude does not fit in the real world. Thank God there's a business called Primerica, because it changed our lives. Sorry, I got off on a tangent, but I love you dearly, Rebecca. Thank you so kindly for what you did this morning.
What I think is really incredible, if I may say something to this is inspiring and energizing to me, because what it does is it doesn't make me stand away from the things that maybe I felt. For anybody on here that goes like, yeah, I hear these guys saying these things, but I don't know if I'm good enough to dream as big as that person did, or I don't know if right? And so sometimes when we hear somebody who dreams really big or thinks really big, or says a business that looks different than the vision that's in each of our minds, the moment somebody says something that stands away from, we start to go, right? Anybody feel that at all? You just like kind of like shut your mind for a moment.
Yeah.
And what I love about what was taught this morning is that nobody said, well, your vision is right and yours is wrong. Well, your way of doing it and this one is right or wrong. It was very clear. And what I love about what I kept hearing Rebecca say was, start with step one, personally unpack it, document it like a scientist, and then from there, note, like, I really, really enjoyed that, or I really, really want to find somebody who could really enjoy that, and simplify it into the simplest steps. It doesn't need to be meatier. It just needs to be simple, because there's some people, we all feel immediately an imposter syndrome if I try to be Ethan, or if Ethan tries to be me. But we are absolutely, it is impossible to do what we all came here to want to do if, as Bill Arender says, there's 10,000 starfish on the shore and we just go, well, gonna save one, right? Just one. Like, each one of us has to go to that step one, unpack it, and then go, okay, like, I'm phenomenal there. I'm energized there. That's awesome. Move to step two, move to step three. I just really enjoy that. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but just in that application of saying whatever vision it was that you heard, if it was Coach Jim's, or if it was Rebecca's, or if it was Coach Wayne's, like, every one of us is completely different, but we all get to play a very significant role. But none of us are going to get there without having each other. Right? Like, at
Exactly.
all. So
Yeah, one of the things that I've seen, as I've gotten to know more and more leaders across the country, is that you don't have to be everything that your business needs. You can have a business, an organization of people that provide everything that the outcome needs, that the clients need. And you don't have to be everything to everyone. You get to just provide the vision, the strategy, and be able to build it out with and develop the people to be able to fulfill the vision. But you can be any of, like, if we, like, there's the three business personalities. We've got our entrepreneur, our manager, and our technician. You got to be a little bit of all three of those in order to get it up off the ground, right? But all the star personalities fit here. All the backgrounds, no matter which background you came from, it fits here. And you get to bring your strengths, and then just find out, what does the business need? And then who do I need to find in order to fulfill that need? And if you start with the end in mind, then you can plug everyone and everything together to help fulfill that. And that is what has just been so powerful for me, is realizing, like, you don't have to be a certain personality, but you can just step back and say, what does the business need? Okay, let's go find it. Let's go find the people. Oh, we need someone that's really good at recruiting. We need someone that's really good at admin. We need someone that's really good at all these different pieces. And you may need to go through the different roles, right? And become the player coach. You can't just step in and be the CEO of, you know, you Incorporated, right? Where, you know, you're not in the day-to-day. No, like everyone, even Glenn Williams, the CEO of Primerica, started part-time in the trenches and worked his way up in the company, right? And he found that that's his ultimate gift. But unless he started small and learned all the different pieces, he wouldn't be able to be the leader that he is today if he didn't understand all the different pieces in the middle. And you can delegate what you understand. And you can't expect what you don't inspect, right? So that's the manager piece. And you know, you really have to be that player coach that's in the field that figures out how to get the success in each of the different roles in order to be able to delegate it well, in order to be able to have that consistent expectation, you know, of your team and of the system, if you don't even understand the system. So I just want to encourage each of you guys. It is an absolute blessing in disguise, okay, that everyone starts in the same place and that you grow into it, and you can find out if you want to be part-time, if you want to be full-time, if you want to be an RVP, if you want to be an SNSD, if you want to, you know, grow, if you want to be the PFSU instructor, or, you know, help out, you know, on the admin side. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go with this, but man, if you came here because of that entrepreneurial spark, which I think every single one of you on here is on here this morning because you want to be that entrepreneur, you want to build that company within a company. You can't get caught in the myth of just running around thinking you're an entrepreneur without actually building a company and going through the phases and the paces to be able to scale that beyond what you can do. If you just came here for what you can personally do, there's a place for you on the team. We would love to have some amazing producers that just want to do it by themselves. But I think if you're on here this morning and you bought into the Primerica vision, it's because you want to be able to build something that goes beyond what you can do by yourself. So start with the end in mind and don't get caught in the myth. Actually be the entrepreneur and build the business. You have to build the company of your dreams within a company and to take full advantage of what we have our hands on. And don't miss that because you get stuck in the minutia of all the day-to-day or what you're not, or all the list of what your skill sets aren't or what your strengths aren't. Like, that's okay. You get to build a company that brings all of that together. And we get to, you know, rely on each other, and you don't have to know it all. You can plug them in on Saturday. We can all lean on each other, but we're not in this alone, and we can all be able to have that unlimited perspective to be able to take it to that next level.